Hello, and welcome to Once Upon a Time in Black History. I'm your host, Tamara Shiloh, author, educator, and owner of the Multicultural Bookstore in Richmond, California. This is my new podcast that can be heard on Anchor, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Check us out and be sure to visit my website at onceuponatimeInBlackHistory.com. So today we'll be talking about Edward Joseph Dwight, the almost first African-American astronaut. Yep, almost. Counting down to liftoff. Dangerous trips to the upper reaches of Earth's atmosphere. Gravitational forces powerful enough to pull blood from the eyes. The sound of immense power unleashed in barely controlled fury. Thundering toward the sun. Zero gravity. This was the thrill Edward Joseph Dwight, a Kansas City, Kansas-born altar boy turned airman, wanted more than anything else. As a child, he visited the local airport every day, where he studied and drew airplanes. He loved art, but his dream was to fly. But it had always appeared to him that this was a white man's world. He shared, "I never thought for a minute that I would fly an airplane. This was crazy." But a front-page story in his local newspaper fueled his dreams. The plane of an African-American pilot from his hometown had been shot down in Korea. He was standing on a wing of a jet, and I was like, "Oh my God, they're letting black folks fly jets," he said in an interview. Edward enlisted in the U.S. Air Force in 1953, where he would rise through the ranks from cadet to second and then first lieutenant, and later to captain. And while training to become a test pilot, he attended night classes at the Arizona State University. He graduated in 1957. On November 4th, 1961, get this, Edward received a signed letter from President Kennedy's office that read, and I quote, "I'm inviting you to become America's first Negro astronaut. This is very exciting because if this project succeeds, you will probably end up being the greatest Negro that ever lived." The news brought immediate attention from local and international media. Edward Dwight had become the first African-American astronaut trainee. It was just everywhere. A New York Times headline read, "Negro astronaut aiming for moon." The Indianapolis Recorder reported Kansas native in line as first sepia astronaut. The U.S. Information Agency sent photos of Edward to newspapers worldwide. In 1984, in an interview with Ebony magazine, Edward said, "I was sending out 5,000 press photographs a month, and I made 176 speeches the first year." The civil rights movement and the space race seem to have come together during that time. But things changed. After President Kennedy's assassination, NASA did not select him. He later shared that the racial politics and a lack of career opportunities encouraged him to resign from the Air Force in 1966, never getting the opportunity to go into space. He then worked a few jobs and eventually moved to Denver, Colorado, where he would resume one of his childhood passions, art. He studied at the University of Denver, earning his MFA in 1977. It was during that time he gained a wonderful reputation as a sculptor. Edward's private Denver studio, Ed Dwight Studios, is one of the largest privately owned production and marketing facilities in the western United States. Go, guy. Over the years, Ed has been featured in nearly every form of media, highlighting his art career, his life experiences as the first African-American astronaut candidate in America, event appearances, unveiling, seminars, lectures, and honors too many to list. However, he was a great man. Now imagine that.